We're all here to help students learn, and courses don't automatically do that. We as instructors don't automatically do that. And there's an inquiry kind of mindset that I think people who are scholars have, but don't necessarily always apply to teaching. And so part of what we're doing is trying to provide you some tools that help you to bring that inquiry mindset that you already have in approaching your content and use it to approach your teaching. And make some database decisions about what's working, what's not, and where you can make improvements to help students learn more effectively. There are lots of tools that already exist and lots of frameworks that exist to inform development of new tools that we just want to put more readily into your hands as instructors. And think about what you already do as instructors. You assess students at some point, and at minimum you provide grades for students which hopefully are informed by some evidence of what student learning looks like. And we typically call that summative assessment of student learning. That's, you know, the evidence that helps you make a judgment. Did they get to where you wanted them to get? But along the way, hopefully you're gathering evidence. Are they getting there? And what can I do to help them get there better if they're not? That's what we call formative assessment of student learning. Something that gives you some input and allows you to make some changes in what you're having your learners do. But in addition to those two things, there's this idea about formative evaluation of course design. And certainly when you look at your student grades at the end of the semester, or you look at on a quiz or contributions to a discussion board, all of those things potentially give you input into how effective your course design is, and gives you some ideas of whether students are doing what you're hoping they'll do. But there are some other ways that you can gather evaluation of whether your course design is doing what you want it to do, that maybe go outside of just looking at student outcomes and student learning processes. So again, outcomes often are the first thing we look at measuring, but there's also inputs. Where are your learners coming from? What is their context? What are their characteristics? What do you expect as a faculty member? And how can you better match up the needs of your students with what you offer as an instructor? And then there's all kinds of things related to processes, the media that you use, the technologies that students use, the kinds of activities you engage your students in. All of those things have an impact on outcomes, but if you only measure outcomes, you're not necessarily going to get feedback on the processes that you thought. I think there are a number of different entry points for evaluating course design effectiveness, and this is intended to help you narrow your inquiry, not to expand it to everything. But part of what our toolkit should do for you is to help you as an instructor upon entry identify which of these make sense for you to be asking, and to make sure that you don't get lost in just kind of the morass of possible tools or possible approaches.